one bed that I've had covered with black plastic for several months now, and you see it's kept a lot of the weeds down. There's only a few little weeds here and there. Most of them are dandelions or some other deep tap-rooted weed that hangs on to the last breath here, so I need to go through and be a little more heavy-handed on getting these out here, so to make sure that they're not going to be fighting with them all season long. So one of the big helps in the garden here, actually, when you have the black plastic on, is the little voles and field mice. They actually do a good service for me, and tilling up the ground and keeping it loose and bringing in organic matter and different things. So they're actually very useful, and once I get my crop planted, they shouldn't be, they won't be around to be a problem to those, most likely. Here you can see some of their little activities. So they have little mounds and little hills, so they've dug little trails through the ground here and made little nests here, and so they've kept the soil nice and loose and provided a lot of organic matter, and they chewed on stuff, so they're not necessarily always a pest, and they can provide a nice benefit to the soil. So here you can see that there's some deep tap-rooted weeds that have hung on underneath the black plastic here. They've definitely taken their toll, and kind of the tips are burned and they're all yellow and white, so they've definitely been deprived of light, but they've still held on. So it's a good time to come around with a Maddox or a pick and get these guys out of here. So the Maddox seems to work fairly well to get this all the way down and pry it up. So the roots are all the way down here. They're fairly, not terribly deep, but almost a good 10 inches deep here. And then I usually just use the side of the Maddox to break them out of its dirt clod there and save the soil. Shake it a bit and toss it off into the weedy area where I don't need it anymore, or if you need to, you can put it in a 5-gallon bucket or a wheelbarrow or something if you're in the middle of a bunch of beds and you can't get to the edge. Just going to cover it back up and move on to the next one here. It's got quite a bit on there. Have to lose that soil there just to get rid of the roots there. The tops aren't much of a problem. They can decompose quite readily and they won't come back just from the tops. Just the roots are the problem. As they say, get to the root of the problem. There's another one here that's hanging on here pretty well. Probably not quite so deep, but got a nice, good tap root on there, so if I can get these out of here now. This looks like some prickles on it. It almost looks like, oh, I'm not sure what this is actually. Some kind of prickly, I'm going to say a thistle. Not sure if it is or not, but it is something with some spines all over the edges of it here. But it's not going to live too much longer being out of the soil. So you can see here the contrast between having the black plastic on here and not. This is the edge of the black plastic here. I would like some of my black plastic sheets that I cut them too narrow. So if you are going to use these on 30-inch beds, I would recommend cutting the strips to be about 4 foot. I found the most economical way to buy the black plastic is to get a 100-foot by 20-foot roll. That's the most economical per square foot. And when you got it 20 foot wide, It divides evenly into 5 sheets of 4 foot each. So that gives you about, see, that's, I remember if it's 3 or 6 inches overlap, but there's a little bit of overlap between the sheets when you lay them out on the bed. And that means there's no gaps. If you just have them meet, that means that there's potential for weeds to poke their head through, and they will. They'll push on through between the sheets, so that overlap eliminates that problem. So I tried to get 5 sheets out of there and try to skimp on it, and that was a bad choice. So I got a little bit of weed pressure in the walkways. But you can definitely see, these are some deep tapped roots or weeds, and they're going to be a beast to get out of here. I'm going to have to clip them off and probably maybe even cover them here with black plastic on the edge here, bring it up over the edge here, and then plant in the bed here. Try to kill them off. I would have had them all through my bed here if I hadn't covered them up and, killed off the weeds with the black plastic. You can definitely see the edge here of the bed where the weeds start. My irrigation line, I got to be careful not to chop here. So here's another little thistle here, it looks like. Need to get out of there. Soil's very nice and soft and well fluffed up. Stays that way nice. The black plastic also helps with compaction. So that's another benefit of it here. So this is all very good tilth on there. And there's plenty of fungus growing in through here, which helps the plants a lot because that provides more of ammonium release from the soil. When the microarthropods eat the fungus filaments there, it releases a lot of the ammonium nitrogen. So that's good for crops and not so great for most weeds. So that's one of the benefits of here. So they've been able to grow quite nicely, so try to not till the soil here or mess it up too much. I'll just rake it over here and get it nice and smooth. Probably add some compost before planting.